And this is our desire for the government to look into the taxes paid by these suppliers. And this is prompted, Mr. Chairman, by the revelation done by Shushu Construction Machinery in the last hearing. Kung inyo pong maalala, noong nakaraang pagdidinig, ang kumpanyang Shushu Construction Machinery Corporation, inamin, hindi po sila nagbayad ng income taxes. Ni piso po, magkano po kanang kontrata? 2 bilyon, 23 milyon, 2 billion 230 million ang kanilang kontrata na inaward noong panahon ng dating Undersecretary Lloyd Christopher Lau. Hindi po nagbayad, ni piso. 2 billion 230 million ang kontrata nila. It is in this context, Mr. Chairman, with the permission of my colleagues, that I will ask that we look into the tax liabilities of these contractors. To put it in context, we should not forget that 42 billion was transferred by the Department of Health to PSDBM, which was flagged by the COA. We assume that the 42 billion was totally disbursed by the PSDBM and paid to the suppliers to purchase face masks, face shields, PPEs, and other medical supplies. Ang tanong po, doon sa 42 billion na dinisburse ng PSDBM sa mga suppliers, magkanong buwis ang binayad nitong mga suppliers na ito? How much income taxes were paid by the suppliers who got a total of 42 billion in supply contracts from the government? In my computation, Mr. Chairman, there is a potential tax intake or income of approximately 7.5 billion pesos. I repeat, Mr. Chairman, subject to further verification, potentially out of the 42 billion in supply contract awarded by PSDBM, the suppliers is supposed to have paid 7.5 billion pesos in income taxes. How did we arrive at that? 42 billion. If you deduct from 42 billion, 40%, which is the optional standard deduction allowed by the BIR for corporations, you would have a presumptive net taxable income of 25 billion, 25.2 billion to be more precise. And at a 30% income tax rate, 30% of 25 billion is 7.5 billion pesos. I am not saying, Mr. Chairman, that this is the tax due. I am just saying that potentially there is an income tax due of 7.56 billion pesos as a result of 42 billion in contracts awarded by the PSDBM. In fact, talking about that, Mr. President, on another matter, the Right to Know Right Now Coalition, using GPPB data, tracked that about 62 billion were awarded to supply under supply agreements under Bayanihan 1 and Bayanihan 2. But that is a completely separate story. What we're just looking for right now is the 42 billion, which was disbursed by PSDBM to the suppliers of these medical supplies. Ang tanong, Mr. Chairman, nagbayad ba po sila ng tamang buwis? Magkano po ang binayad nila? Halimbawa, ang Pharmaly, 10.4 billion ang nakuhang kontrata. Magkano binayad na income taxes? Yung Element Trade Limited, 6.99 billion. How much in income taxes did it pay? SunWest Construction and Development Corporation, 5.22 billion, 5 billion 220 million. How much taxes, income taxes did it pay? Shushu, as admitted, They got a contract of 2.2 billion, 230 million. They did not pay a single centavo in income taxes. A corporation named Hafid in Erasmus Corporation, contract 1,910,000,000. How much income taxes did it pay? Mr. Chairman, Mr. President Duterte is always telling the public that hirap na hirap ang pamahalaan, wala pong pambayad, kaya po yung ayuda ay hindi po nabibigay. Yun pong pambili ng bakuna, 45 billion. Nasa ang program fund, ibig sabihin, walang pundo doon po sa 45 billion para sa pambili ng bakuna. Ay hindi po pa tama lamang. Natingnan natin doon po sa magandang mga kontrata na nakuha ng lahat ng suppliers, 42 billion. Pagkano bang binayad nilang income tax? Ang sabi ni Mr. Han, for Shushu, wala po silang binayad ni piso. Kaya po, apart from the overpricing, apart from unqualified suppliers being given the contract, apart from the preference to foreign suppliers, I think it is incumbent upon this committee to look into the taxes paid by these suppliers. It is in this context, Mr. Chairman, that I move that the income tax returns which were provided by the BIR to the committee, which under the law should be given in executive session, should be made public because of what we have learned so far, and by under our rules of procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation, it provides that testimony taken or material presented in executive session or any summary thereof shall not be made public in whole or in part unless authorized by the committee. That's our rule, Mr. Chairman. And therefore, on this basis, I therefore move that any and all documents submitted by the BIR pertaining to the returns to the income tax, to the returns of the following persons be made public pursuant to Section 11, Paragraph 3 of the Senate Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in aid of legislation. Mr. Chairman, these are, number one, the income tax return of Farmally Inc. and its officers, employees, including Muhit Dargani, Twinkle Dargani, Lincoln Ong, and Justine Garani. The income tax return of Yang Hong Ming, the income tax return of Rose Nono Lin, and the tax returns of Zuzu Construction Machinery Group. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
We should reveal to the public the tax returns of these people. I know this was supposed to be an executive session, but these were supposed to be materials for the executive session that was discussed. And since we have already been able to take a look at all this, and in as much as Section 7 of the Constitution provides the right of the people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized. Access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions, as well as to government research data used as basis for policy development, shall be afforded the citizen, subject to such limitations as may be provided by law. The Senate is empowered, the committee is empowered to declassify this information on the basis of the motion right now of President Minority Floor Leader Senator Drilon, and has been properly seconded by the gentle lady from Panay Island and from Rizal and other areas. Are there any objections to this motion? There being none, the motion is carried and the proper orders will be done right away, and we should be able to publish all this documentation. And it is my hope that the BIR will continue to supply us with the necessary information. Senator Drilon? So
Yes,
ordered.
consistent with that last statement of the chairman, may I also move that the committee adopts a resolution urging the Bureau of Internal Revenue to form a task force for the specific purpose of a special audit on the returns made by the suppliers of the medical supplies worth 42 billion. I so move, Mr. Chairman. This is a simple motion urging the BIR, consistent with the opening statement of the chairman, that they should give special attention to this.
I join the minority floor leader, and I'd like to say I just want to
Yeah.
expand it to all those who were partook of this money that was for the pandemic appropriated by the Congress properly, and I'd like to expand that into that area as well. Is there any second to the motion as explained by the chairman?
I
And,
second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. And are there no objections? There being no objections, the same is approved. And right away, we urge the BIR that to take urgent notice of this and urgently act on all these matters so that we can finally get to the bottom of this. Is there any comment from Senator Lacson on the matter?